Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler, and today is episode 187. Getting hard with the fingers. Anyway, help for struggling timeshare owners. So, this is an overview. Most common struggles, I'll first talk about that. Then, my next bottom line is fix it or dump it. That's what sort of the choice. And then, assuming the rest of them are really just ways to fix it once, and I kind of recommend you try to fix it before you dump it, but totally up to you. So I'll look at alternate vacations you can do with what you have, stretching what you have, and then figure out what you need to upgrade once you've got that experience. And that's my method for fixing. So before I go into those details, though, I'll tell you a little bit about my channel, then I'll be back to go through all this in detail. Hang in there. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. Well, I'm back. So there's really two main struggles that I hear about, and there are variations on this, but it really comes down to, I was told it was easy, but I can't book when I want. It's hard. It's more complex. Everybody made it sound really easy, and the truth is the rules are complex for beginners. And booking timeshares, if you want the more difficult ones, is actually requires planning ahead, and that's not ever brought up in the original presentation. The second thing, which is sort of, I bought, the salesperson sold me something, but it's not enough to get what I want. That's kind of the version of I can't book where I want. But the other one is when I want to book it, I find out I don't have enough points. And so you keep finding that you don't have enough. So those are two common struggles that I see, and I'll address both of those throughout this presentation on what you can do to sort of attempt to fix it. Okay, fix it or dump it. And again, I put fix it first because that's really what I recommend, because you shouldn't just dump it, because you might actually figure out, if you figured out how to fix it, maybe you could make it work. And there's always a cost to dump it, and maybe you'll get some of your money back, and maybe you stop paying maintenance, but you'll still have missed an opportunity. At least you tried to make it better. So fix it. Let's talk about that. Dump it. You can go to third party, and many of the timeshare companies will buy it back from you, and you won't get that much for it. So it's really just a method of stopping the maintenance fees. Fix it. I think the first thing is commit to learning the features and functions of the timeshare. And what I would tell you is, I actually, when I first started, I would just do most of my reservations online with the call center, and it's a little frustrating maybe, but you actually learn how things get done, and you can ask them questions. And they're actually, most of the people I've worked with are really helpful, and so I find that that's the best thing to do. So I highly recommend that you commit to learning the features, and even when you're doing it, just book online, call the agents and have them walking through it. But while they're doing it, you should be asking about how to do it on the website, so you can sort of get a sense, and then ask questions. They're actually really happy to just talk about different sections of the website. So I've done all of that. So, and I've been doing timeshares for 15 years, and that's how I started. And I didn't think of it at the time. I just wanted to figure it out. So I recommend you do that. So the next thing is when you call, ask, okay, here's how many points I have. What can I do with that? And that's sort of my other side, to find out if you ended up really not buying enough, because there's a minimum the salespeople can sell you, but typically that's not enough to get like a week in a one bedroom, but maybe you need a week in a two bedroom. And, based on where you like to travel or where you'd like to travel, you may find that ultimately you need more points. But I'll go on ways to get around that. Learn about, usually there's an exchange company like RCA or RCI or Interval, and those are, usually they have capabilities that you can do, and I'll go into a little bit more in that in detail. And you can always convert to hotel points and use it at hotels. That's not necessarily the best thing to do, but it's better than throwing the money away. Um, and again, the last thing I would tell you is as you go through this process of learning, figure out what the number of points you really need are. And then whether you can afford it or not, obviously. So that will be sort of part of your process of figuring out whether you actually should dump it. Next up is what I call the alternate vacations, and I'm on an alternate vacation right now. And these are low-cost exchange vacations. RCI and Interval are the two most common. And I happen to be using GPX, which is actually, it was part of a Hilton purchase I had. It's a Grand Pacific Exchange. And there's other destination exchanges, another one that Hilton has, and let's see, Wyndham has, Vacasa. So there's quite a few of them out there, but I'm using the main ones that traditionally were there. So Last Call, which is RCI, Getaway, which is Interval. And all those are within short time distances, not too far out. And all you do is pay the exchange fee. You don't have to actually use any of your points. So I'm actually right now staying, I think it's $484, and I'm staying in a one-bedroom in Napa, right along the river. It's a beautiful location. I've got a review of it already on my site, so you can find that if you want. The other method to do is to take your points and convert them to hotel points. That doesn't typically do a great job, but it's actually better than losing them. So then you can stay once you convert them to hotel points. And again, I'm used to Hilton or Marriott being the two that I use the most of. You can book hotels with bedrooms. So, for example, the Homewood Suites is one within the Hilton chain, and then Residence Inn is the equivalent in Marriott. And then you can book those, and there's all over the U.S., so you can get actually quite a bit of variety. But again, there's better ways to get points than doing conversions, but it's one thing you can do. The other thing that people don't do that often is look for off-season specials. I've done it quite a bit. I booked Tahoe, I think, in the May timeframe, which is kind of the slow period before summer, and I was able to get it for, I think, 35% off. But you can often get 50% off, and I've even seen Hawaii in that list. So again, it's special pricing, which means you can use less points. So if you don't have enough points for a full week in traditional, you still can possibly do it. And again, there's special pricing usually at the kind of last call within the timeshare where you can rent them with dollars. All of them have it that I have. So anyway, those are alternates you can do that don't actually use any of your points. And so that way you can think about stretching, which is another topic I'll have here in a minute. And speaking of stretching, what do you know? The next slide, stretching what you have. Don't give up. That's the thing that I think it really can be frustrating, and I probably should have touched on it earlier in the video. But this can be really frustrating, and I think the way I look at it is I put effort into it, and I get effort back. I get benefits back. Good vacations. So yeah, you can stretch your points. Now, the other thing I do is almost all the timeshare companies allow you to roll your points to the next year. So even if you don't have enough points, use the RCI and the other things I talked about. To sort of have a vacation in the last minute and try that out. It can be fun to go to a different place. And then roll your points to next year. And then with the combination of 2 years worth of points, then you probably have enough to do the vacation that you want. So that's what I'd say if you find that you end up going, my gosh, I didn't buy enough. Why did they sell me this? They're horrible. Instead of that, figure out a way to just roll your points into the next year. And that you can combine it into one vacation. I've actually done that. I actually have a small amount of diamond, and I've rolled those so that I can actually get a week of. I very specifically want 2 resorts in Hawaii, Point Poipu, and now it's called the Hilton Club at Kaanapali Beach. But I've rolled my points there, so I could stay for every other year. I could stay for 6 days. So I'm actually doing that myself. Wouldn't recommend it if I weren't doing it myself. Again, I mentioned the Last Call, RCI, Getaways, Interval, and I'm on it. I'm doing it right now. So I would recommend it. The other thing is there are marketing programs. Some of them have like cooking or wine tasting, and there's even one I think Worldmark's got Club Wyndham has a basketball game. You can go to the Portland Trail Blazers basketball game if you want to do that. There is a presentation you have to go to. And there are also vacations you get when you say no to a presentation. They'll sometimes then offer you an incentive to come back. And that usually is enough for a week, or depending on the program. Some are a week worth of points in a 2-bedroom, some are a little bit less, and obviously the prices vary based on what you're doing. But you're basically paying maintenance fees for the next vacation. But again, if you don't have the points, that's a good way to do it. Anyway, that's stretching points. And now my last topic is upgrade to what you need. All this work on trying to figure out how you can stretch points is actually valuable regardless. Because if you can stretch your points and you find you're able to get your vacation, guess what? You don't need to buy any more points. And if you're stretching and you say that's still not enough, then you kind of know what you need to buy. And that way, because you've learned to stretch things, or you've learned to use all the you don't end up with overbuying, and you're less likely to be in that case where like, oh, I can't use the points. Now I'm going to, use them less efficiently. So I highly recommend that you upgrade what you need. Figure out how to stretch your points, learn all the features, discover how much you would need to have every year vacation. Once you realize how to stretch that, leverage all the promotions before upgrading. So, if somebody's offering you a marketing tour and they're offering you points, if you're going to upgrade anyway, make sure you do that. So you get a vacation, get the extra points, then you can do the upgrade during that presentation. So that way you've gotten incentives to do that. Once you've learned how to stretch and other alternatives, then you can leave comments in my videos on things you've figured out how to do that I'll try. So that would be really cool. I would love that. And finally, you can make your upgrade purchase once you understand the system and know what you want. So that way you're not going to a sales presentation in the way you may have gotten in the first place. You just wanted to try it and you said yes and didn't really know what you were saying yes to. And after going through this whole process of fixing it, at the end of the day, you'll know, I can make this work. Or I don't want to make this work. I'll get rid of it, and whatever. But at least you've done the effort to really investigate it rather than giving up too soon. And that's really what I encourage. Don't give up too soon. Anyway, hope you loved the video. Give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe.